All right, guys, welcome to Travel Training. This is Tyler Nixon, a national executive with Paycation Travel. I'm here with Diamond Dynasty, Retire Young Revolution, and Tribe. So, what we're looking at right now is the World Agent Direct, which is the Delta booking engine. You can literally come in here and do an entire Delta getaway from the hotel to the flight to the rental cars. It has so many perks, and I'm about to show you guys exactly how to get started in your World Agent Direct site. So first thing you want to do is enter in your agent ID. You want to enter in your password, and then you want to also go ahead and add the IATA number. So that's what the agency ID number is. So obviously our IATA number with Extreme Travel is going to be 45609-642. So once you go ahead and log in, it's going to take you to the next screen. Now, we have a few different ways to get started depending on what your client's looking for. Now, if they have a specific booking that they want to do, you can get straight into book a vacation right here. Or you can look at the specials and sales. You can look at the resource center, the marketing materials, incentives, or you can just look at basic destination info. Um, what I like to do a lot of times is I'm a big poster on social media, so what I'll do is go first and look at the specials if I don't have something that I'm booking for a client that they had, specifically had me look up for them. So as you can see, we have some specials on Marriott resorts. We have Los Cabos, get an additional $150 credit, 60% off the hotels. Um, I know a lot of times with the Delta booking engine, we have crazy deals with sandals. I think they have some type of affiliation. But what I'm going to do is actually, I'm just going to freestyle a vacation that one of my clients had me look for. So what we're going to do, we're going to go straight to book a vacation. Now, they want a flight and hotel. They're leaving from Atlanta, so you want to put the origin code ATL. But I just know the origin code here. Let me show you what to do if you don't know the origin code. Obviously, you want to see where you ask the client where they're flying from. Just hit origin code, and it'll let you know all the different destinations. And you can literally click and choose which origin code. The origin code is always going to be where is the client leaving from. Okay, so you can scroll down and figure it out, because just because somebody's leaving from a specific state, like let's say New York City, normally you would think NYC, but there's several airports in New York, so it's not always going to be NYC. Matter of fact, you can see right here, Buffalo, New York is BUF. So it just kind of depends. So you definitely want to make sure you're making your clients leaving from the right origin code. But here in Atlanta, there's only one airport. Now, destination code, which I actually don't know. I know they're going to LaGuardia in New York. So what I'll do, go to the desk code. Let's see. I know it's New York, so I'll scroll down to the new up. See, LaGuardia, New York is LGA. Bow. There we go. Now, next thing you want to do, you want to know what your client wants. Do they want the best price? Do they want a specific departure time? What is it that your client wants? So you want to get all the detailed information from your client ahead of time, so you don't have to keep going back. Oh, do you want this? Do you want that? You want to know, ask as many questions as possible so you can know. Like right now, I know my client wants a nonstop flight. They don't want any connections. So I'll do the one stop, nonstop. And they're also looking for the best price. The departure time doesn't really matter to them. The cabin class, I actually am dealing with a client that wants a business class trip. They don't want to be in coach, so that's fine. So you want to make sure you're accommodating exactly what the customer wants. Now, you can never go wrong by getting exactly what the customer wants. Now, if they say it's too pricey, you can always go back and edit some things based upon budget. But the first thing you want to do is make sure your client is satisfied. So for the departure date, they want to leave. They're actually leaving immediately. So you're going to do it in month, date, and year format. So they're leaving April 21st, 2015. Doesn't matter when they fly out. They want to come back April 24th, 2015. So it's just a brief trip. It's actually only one person going, one room. Now, one thing that I really like, if you go online, you can normally find promo codes or e-certificates, or, if your client has Delta Sky Miles or any promotions with Delta, you can add that in. That way they can get their credit for the program that they're already participating in. Now, next thing you want to do is continue. And what it'll do, it'll pull up exactly what we have. The first thing that comes is the flights. Okay, so the flight is always the most important. Now, for the client, you have a 6 a.m. flight. 0 stops is a nonstop flight. You want to look at the different aircraft types. Some clients, they want a particular aircraft. I want to fly on a 757 or a 747, whatever the situation is. You want to make sure that your client is comfortable. So you want to pay attention to the aircraft so you know exactly what type of jet they're flying on. That way you don't put somebody on a small little jet and they were trying to fly on, one of the big 757s. Now, my client, they actually don't really mind which jet they fly on, so I always go with 757. I mean, that's just because my personal favorite, and that's an upselling technique. I could tell my client, hey, I got you a first class ticket on a 757 jet, and you want to always upsell as much as possible. So we have a flight that departs at 6:45, arrives at 8:55, and then the return flight 8 a.m. and it arrives at 10:35. So you want to be mindful of the different times of the flights, the type of aircraft they're going to be flying on, and obviously you want to look at the price. Okay, for this particular flight, first class, $1,086. Now, what we're going to do, let's see, the 757, well, they're coming back on the 757. Here we go. And they're fine with that. So, I'm going to go ahead and select. Now, if you look on the right-hand side, it also lets you know your itinerary. So you can see the summary of the itinerary on the side there. Now, what you want to do is look for the actual hotel. Now, you can search by location. You have Atlantic City, which is in Jersey, Central Park, Financial District. So if the client has a particular area that they want to stay in, you can search by location. My client, they want to stay actually at the Aloft Hotel. And they want to stay at the Aloft in Brooklyn. So as you can see, I went straight to the name. It pulled it up in alphabetical order. You can pull it up by price from low to high right here. You can pull it up by the star ratings, preferred picks. That's basically, the top tier hotels. They'll have the most highly picked rooms on that particular tab. So you can search it a number of different ways when you're using this booking engine. That's one thing that I really love about the World Agent Direct. There's so many different ways to search and customize trips to the point that your client will always be satisfied. Now, here we go. Brooklyn Aloft. That was actually a preferred pick. So let me see. And okay, no, it's the same thing. Cool. So what we'll do, go ahead and get the hotel room that they wanted. I'll select it. It shows a nice description of the hotel. It shows the different room types, the property info, where it is on the map, the whole nine. You can scroll down, distance from the airport. There's so much information that you want to always be mindful of the information here. That way you have the info for your client. The more you know, the more knowledgeable you are about what you're doing, the more your client will trust you. And that's really what it comes down to. The more trust that you build up with the client, it doesn't matter if your vacation package is a couple $100s more. The client trusts you and they know that you're putting them in quality and they're getting exactly what they want every time. So they'll be willing to spend that extra money. And obviously for the travel consultant, that's a higher commission that's going to be paid out. And I'm actually going to get into that in just a second. That's actually one of my favorite parts of the commission. So here we go. Oh, here. Let's see. I actually jumped a little bit too quick. Hold on, let me go back. Okay. So we have the Aloft in Brooklyn. So I'm going to go ahead and select that again. Now, you don't want to just, you don't want to be quick like I am. I'm quick to jump the gun right now. You don't want to be quick to just jump straight into the select this hotel because you want to go into the room options. As you can see, there's a few different options as far as what the room is going to consist of once the client gets there. So as you can see, obviously by different room, there's going to be different prices attached to those. We have one king bed, non-smoking, high-speed internet access, $855. They have the two double beds. It's a little bit more if you want the two double beds. The one king bed, which is handicap accessible. Anything that says accessible room, that means it's handicap accessible, as well as the STE, that means it's a suite. Now, my client, she's on a business trip, so she doesn't really care about, being a suite or a standard room because first of all, it's just her and she's on business, so she's not going to be in the room most of the time. So you want to know why your client is on their trip. Is it a romantic getaway with their spouse? Is it a group trip with some friends? So you can know what type of room you want to put your client in, because obviously if it's 4 people in a single room, more than likely they're going to want a suite so it's not so clustered, opposed to, having just the double beds right next to each other and 4 people. That kind of gets a little bit crazy. So for my client, for her sake, we're going to go ahead and do the king bed because, like I said, it's just her. Now, it gives you the option to do rental cars, and they have some really good deals on rental cars. They have the different companies that provide rental cars at the actual hotel, at the actual airport. So you can kind of look through those. Now, knowing the destination is important. I know that my client is in New York, so throughout the duration of her trip, she's not going to need a rental car. She's going to be taking taxis and she wants to experience the culture. But if you send a client to somewhere that's a little bit more spread out, maybe an island or in the country or, in a desert state like Texas or something like that, where there's not a lot of public transportation, your client is going to probably need a rental car because a taxi would be extremely expensive depending on how long that trip is. So you want to always customize your trip according to your clients. Now, I know that my client doesn't need the rental car, so I'm scrolling down to this bubble which says no rental car desired. Now, if they did want a rental car, you can go to premium SUVs or intermediate, luxury, whatever the situation is, and it gives you the exact numbers. One thing I love about World Agent Direct, it gives the exact numbers. It's so easy. Everything is all included, and it walks you through the whole process from beginning to end. It lets you know where you're picking up the rental car from, what company, the details, the policy information. And we all know as far as renting cars, as long as your client is over 25, typically there's no deposit up front. Now, if they're under 25, there's a potential for them to have to pay a security deposit up front. So that's another thing that you want to be mindful of when dealing with clients when it comes to the travel arena. Now, no rental car desired, so I'll click on that. Now, one of my favorite things that World Agent Direct does, it gives you the ability to literally upsell everything and you don't have to research the area. Now, it shows all the different activities that are available in New York, and it has prices, and it can be included in the trip. So as far as sightseeing, they have the all loops tour where you can eat and play. They have the Circle Cruise Line. You can go on a day cruise, the classic New York, the Manhattan experience. So if you click on the little dot, the arrow, it gives you a description of what the different activities and sightseeings are. So if you haven't asked your client yet, you can figure out, hey, do you plan on doing any sightseeing or any activities while you're in New York or while you're wherever you're going? And they'll say, oh yeah, I want to do this and that. So you can look right here in your world agent, and you can get the commission off that, because when it comes to being a travel consultant, you don't just get commission off of the flight and the hotel. You get commission off of everything travel related. So the more that you can get included in that package, the happier your client's going to be. And obviously, the more you're going to get paid as the consultant. Now, like I said, since it is a business trip, I know that my client is not going to be doing too many sightseeings. And we already talked about that. She doesn't want to do any shows. So I'm going to just go ahead and continue. Now, this is where it gets fun. If you were doing an exotic destination that was out of the country, then you can also add in a travel protection plan. And literally all the travel protection plan does is says, hey, if it might be a $5,000 trip, and if the client decides to cancel the trip before it happens or up to a certain date, then they wouldn't be responsible for paying the entire amount of the trip for the cancellation. They would only be responsible for a portion. But for a trip like New York City, you don't really have to worry about any travel protection or anything like that. But we're going to get to one of my favorite parts, which is right here, the agency service charge. Now, this is what a lot of people don't know. As a travel consultant, you have the ability to literally create your own commission. So you can, obviously if you're dealing with like a family member or a friend or somebody like that, you probably wouldn't charge an agency service charge. That agency service charge literally goes directly towards your commission on top of what your commission would normally be. So let's say, for instance, you were dealing with somebody who had a budget of $2,500 and you were able to get their trip for $19,041. Now, what you could do on top of the commission that you're going to make anyway, you might decide, okay, well, I was able to get this trip that you want, got you on first class, got exactly what you wanted. I think I'm going to charge $150 for my agency service charge just for going into my back office and, finding the flight, finding the hotel, spending 15 minutes to find exactly what you wanted. I charge $150 for those 15 minutes. So what you do is just add in your service charge, hit continue. Now, it will email the invoice to your email. Now, as you can see, I got the actual total with the air, the hotel included. Plus, one thing that I really like, the agency service charge is listed as activities. So the client doesn't know exactly what, that agency service charge is. So they don't know the exact fee that you're charging them. So that's one thing that's really good. You can kind of play around and, pretty much create your own commission. You just have to know who and what you're dealing with. Now, we still save the client over $400. So remember, the budget was $2,500 and we got it less than $2,100. So we're saving our client $400, got them the first class ticket that they wanted, got them the hotel exactly what they wanted, got them the king bed, got them everything they wanted, saved them $400, had the email invoice sent over to us, as well as you can decide to send it off to the client as well, or you can send it by mail. So it just depends on what your client wants. And Once you do that, you hit continue, and voila, your itinerary is generated. So, as you can see for the current itinerary, in the right hand side right here, it has literally the short version of the trip. You have your outbound and return flights up top because that's the first thing you always want to handle. It has the hotel that they're going to be staying in, the type of room, the amenities that are offered, and then you can see what your agency service charges is if you decided to include an agency service charge. Then it has the overall package price. The package price is literally flight plus hotel plus activities plus agency service charge and tax, and that's literally the sum of everything. That's what the package price is, the sum of every single thing. So once your client pays that, they have no more additional cost to pay for towards you. Only thing they have left to pay is, if they're going to be doing, say, like their food and, entertainment and things like that outside of what you're providing. Now, you want to always make sure you review the rules and restrictions. It shows that down here. You can click on the link to view the terms and conditions. It has the cancellation fees. It says if canceled between 4/11 and 4/17, then your fee would be $1,436, which is not the full amount. If it's canceled after 4/17, which is tomorrow, then they would be responsible for the full amount. So you always want to be aware of the cancellation policies and everything like that. Now, once you're read over everything, you hit this checkbox saying that you accept. Then you go ahead and go to purchase now. Send the itinerary over to your client and request the payment, and you are good to go. So, with that being said, hope everybody got some valuable information here this evening. Now, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to go ahead and comment at the bottom of the screen. Now, this is Tyler Nixon signing off.